Hi everyone, we are going to be using this Tailored Expressions Cutting Edge Flowers stamp and die, this Avery Elle's Banner Bits and die, Lawn Fawn. Now we're going to be using the mini pop-up flower butterflies and some Distress Oxide inks. Now also this large cross-stitch Lawn Fawn circles. We'll also be using a Tailored Expressions Polka Dot Party die stencil, this Lawn Fawn Yeti pigment, Distress Oxide inks, Cracked Pistachio, Mermaid Lagoon and Wilted Violet. We're going to be doing some heat embossing. I wasn't sure which one I was going to use. We ended up using Singing in the Rain and we have a lot of fun with this. Now I've got a craft top folding card base here and we're going to be stamping the large floral image randomly over the top of this base here. I've mounted this on a clear block and we're going to be randomly stamping with the Yeti Lawn Fawn ink. This is a nice bright white crisp ink, really great for stamping, really great for image and details as well. Really love playing with this. And I just take my time figuring out like a little puzzle piece. You see me struggle a little bit there because I wanted it to look a little bit random. I didn't want to look too structured and I struggle a little bit. You see me here. I toss and turn and figure out how I'm going to do this. And so I just play around with stamping this randomly. No rhyme or reason. And just take my time. Once I've done that, I set it aside to dry. It is a pigment ink, so you do need to let it dry for that little bit longer than you would a normal dye ink. So I set that aside and continue to craft. Now I also put my craft mat there just when I go off, so it's just something easy to wipe with, to wipe away, and yeah. I just love using my craft mat, and I've got a smaller version here which I've cut one of them in half just for these kind of little blending moments and little, you know, just to protect my surface. So I've got an ink blending tool here and the Distress Oxide ink. Now I've got I want this quite a heavily inked type of color. I'm going to die cut this with the butterflies, and I really want to get as much I suppose color and vibrancy as possible, so I heavily blend these. So I know it looks shocking at the meantime, but when you die cut it away it looks beautiful. So here's my second color, my Mermaid Lagoon. Then I just kind of make sure I've gotten it thick enough so that it will run through the die cut all the butterflies. So here is my Cracked Pistachio, my last one. I actually struggle a little bit with this blending tool, this particular one. I need to replace the foam pad, so I kind of just made do. This was the foam part was on its last legs, and then I'll replace it after this one. So I set that aside too because it is a pigment ink again. So I die cut in the meantime, keep moving forward with this large cross stitch circle. This is the second one from the second largest, and I cut a circle out. I also create kind of like a deboss with the stencil, and I just feed that through my Sizzix Big Shot, and you can see it adds that tiny bit of texture, just a soft bit of texture on there. Now I run these through. I've already stuck these together just to save some time, and I double layered some of these butterflies, and I'll only use the double layer on the front, and then in the inside of the card I'll stick 3 random butterflies, which I forgot to film at the end, so I do apologize for that. So I'm just kind of fiddling how I want these to look on my card. I really didn't have a plan as such, and I just let this process unfold. I've got this Avery Elle Banner Bits stamp and die. Now the Singing in the Rain is a little bit translucent, so what I do, if you want that little bit more opaque to some of your transparent embossing powders is I use a pigment ink. So I've got the White Yeti here, and I stamp it because it's pigment ink. It stays slightly wet, so therefore the embossing powder sticks to it. And I place the Singing in the Rain generously all over the top, because the Singing in the Rain is actually embossing glitter. It's got some beautiful shimmer and shine to it, and I didn't want to lose that on the black cardstock, so that's why I had stamped my pigment ink first. So putting that aside, setting that aside, and I'm funneling that back in. It's just a scrap piece of copy paper here, and then just setting that aside, making sure I'm putting the lid straight away. The other film episode I did earlier on, I knocked a whole bottle of embossing powder. And that's a bit messy to clean up. Don't recommend it. So I've got my Wow heat tool here, and I'm just going to just heat this up. And this really sparkles and shine. I love embossing glitters. It's so much fun to play with. The Crafty Cafe online store has brought some Wow embossing powders to play with, so I hope you have a look and check out their store and the array they've got now as a selection. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now here's the coordinating die, and I have secured it down with some washi tape and then ran that through my Big Shot. So once I have kind of figured out the placement a little here, I'm going to just play around and adhere these down. Now my adhesive of choice for all these is the Express-It. I've got some squares, I've got some adhesive. I use also my liquid adhesive of choice for this card today is my Multi-Matte Range Up Medium. Not in that exact order, but you know what I mean. All right, so once I've played with these and the setting, I changed it a couple of times actually. I just, I'm not fussy, but I just wanted to make sure the placement was kind of how I wanted it. Not, it's just the finicky side of me, I suppose. And I've got, sorry, my Tombow to stick, my Tombow liquid is to stick the butterflies down. I find this is a really good strong adhesive. So I made sure I use those for the butterflies. And I thought I was finished, but I wanted some bling, so I couldn't help myself, and I brought in these Pretty Pink Posh sparkling clear like jewels. They're beautiful. They almost look like diamonds on your card, so it's beautiful. And I didn't want to lose the intensity of the sparkle, so that's why I chose my Range Up Multi-Matte Medium, and I've put that in a bottle with the fine tip applicator here. So that is why I have used that liquid adhesive. I've got my Marvy jewel picker here as well, and I'm just placing this down randomly all throughout the card. I'm not really good at randomly placing sequins. I know that I see a lot of crafters out there and they just know how to place their sequins or their jewels. I'm still kind of learning that, and I'm just kind of going with how I feel and what I think looks pretty. I'm sorry if you don't, but I'm just playing around, and that's the whole, my whole process is to just really enjoy it and be in the moment of it, not really think too much about it. So I hope you do the same and you enjoy the card making process. So that's my card for today. I hope you enjoyed watching today's card creation. Come and visit us over the Crafty Cafe and my blog, and I will see you later.